with Pastor Jimmy Ellison, Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., only on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Ellison. I'm the pastor here at Noonan City Church. I want to thank you. You'll find as you walk through that we focus on three areas primarily. One is worship, small groups, and local missions. And our purpose is transforming lives for Jesus' sake, helping individuals experience that transformation. And we use these three areas, worship, small groups, and local missions, to help individuals experience that. So you'll get a sense of who Noonan City Church is, and I hope that you'll come and worship with us soon. Take care, and God bless.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of this radio station, its management, or its sponsors. Listeners are urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusions.
It's now time for Faith Works with Pastor Jimmy Ellison from Noonan City Church.
Good morning, Noonan. This is Jimmy Ellison, and you are listening to Faith Works, where each week we interview different leaders in our community who are demonstrating that faith does indeed work. And this morning I am with my good friend Jordan Wray, who is a member of our community. He's a worship leader. He does a lot of different things, and I'm just grateful you're here, Jordan. Appreciate you making it a priority.
Yes, sir. It's good to be here.
And are you from Coweta County? Are you from
yes,
there?
Sir. I was born and raised in Georgia.
Really? Well, one of the reasons, Jordan, I wanted to have you on the show today was when I heard your story. I mean, you've got one of these comeback stories. You've got one of these underdog stories that you overcame some significant challenges in your life, and now God is honoring your efforts. You're making a kingdom impact with your life. Getting married next year. You got your fiance Chelsea. I mean, so many good things are happening right now in your life. But just wanted to have you on the show today, just to share a little of your story. So you were born here. Where did you go to high school?
Noonan High School.
And when did you go?
2008.
2008, graduated there. Gosh, can you believe you've been out of high school for 10 plus years?
11 years, yeah.
You're getting old, man.
I know. I got gray hairs coming in the side.
It only gets worse, brother. I hate to tell you. That's Ryan. It only gets worse, doesn't it? Well, you graduated from Noonan High School. Were you raised in the church, Jordan?
Yeah, a little bit, and then we actually moved to a new neighborhood when I was in 5th grade, and I met a friend, and we became best friends, and his family went to Royal Baptist Church. Yeah. And I just started tagging along, and then it turned into 17 years of being there. So.
That is great. So you graduated from Noonan High School, and then where did you go from there?
Down some bad roads.
Oh, okay. So you didn't go off to college.
I did not go to college, no, sir.
And you've been public with your story, so where I'm not asking you any questions you've not shared in other public arenas. You had a bout with drugs. Yeah. And what was it? More the marijuana?
It started off after graduating high school, just having all that freedom, you know, not having any obligations to go to school or nothing like that. So it was hanging out with friends, and it started real small with drinking and you know, smoking marijuana and just partying on the weekends. And as time goes by, it just kind of developed into new drugs and to new places, and it just kind of escalated from there.
Were you aware in the midst of that season that you were getting more involved in drugs? Was it just like a slippery slope, like little by little, or was there a day that you thought, I'm really taking some bigger steps in this whole drug life?
Yeah, it does. It is kind of a slow slide sometimes, and I think a lot of that has to do with the enemy tricking us, making us think that it's okay and it's comfortable, and you know that you can, no matter what you're going through, instead of taking your problems to God and relying on Him, that you could go to the bar or fill that hole with drugs or women or alcohol. I think a lot of it is denial. You know you're in a dangerous spot, but you kind of believe the lies that you're okay.
Yeah. And so you're like 18, 19, and you're starting this path?
Yes, sir. It didn't really start to escalate until I turned 21.
Okay.
18, 19, 20 was, I had a lot of freedom with just going to people's houses, and, I couldn't really drink publicly. And once you are able to drink publicly, it kind of changes the game a little bit. So when I was 21, I started working at bars. And,
oh, really? Okay.
Well, I was actually being around bars before then, because you can get in at 18, you just can't drink. But so I was in the bar scenes, but I started working at a bar and just being around alcohol all the time, being around temptation all the time, constantly around, drugs and alcohol and trying new things. And that kind of continued. And then I started DJing. So I would DJ at different bars, and that just comes with a lot, people.
Like DJ, like setting up your music and playing the music for the dance club that night.
Yeah,
okay.
I worked for a guy that locally, and we'd go around to bars and just be the entertainment, and we would do like karaoke nights and stuff. So he would kind of use me as to make people feel comfortable to come up and sing. So I would be singing and getting paid to sing, and people would just come and buy you shots, and it just come with, it seemed fun in the moment, but it was just heading me down a very dark path. Mm-hmm. So that kind of continued for months and years actually, and then I just started experimenting. Once you open your mind to certain drugs or just being high or drunk all the time, eventually you're going to just try a different one. That high won't be enough. You'll have to try something new. So.
What have you shared with others, the types of drugs?
Oh, yeah.
What were you experimenting with?
Well, it started with smoking weed and drinking, and then we started cocaine, got introduced.
Powder cocaine?
Yes, sir. And that just took me to a whole nother level. And then I got introduced into the rave scene, and like going to Atlanta to these nightclubs and doing ecstasy, and just it's such a false sense of love. Like everyone in there is just loving each other, hugging each other. Ecstasy is a drug that releases serotonin, so it makes you very happy. It makes you very just want to love everybody. So it's such a false sense of hope when you're in this place. It looks like everyone's loving each other, having a good time, but the next day when you wake up, you drained all that chemical out, that serotonin's gone, and then you're instantly just empty and you're depressed. And a lot of people commit suicide, coming off hard drugs like that. But things just kept continually falling apart in my life. And
what were your parents saying at this time?
They were doing everything that they could to get me to do right. I was just being disobedient, and I actually rebelled from them. Like they knew that I was at the bars, and they knew I was not doing right, and they kept getting strict with me, and really trying to just love me and help me.
Yeah.
And I just rebelled and left and packed up my stuff and moved in, found a place, found a job at the bar. Thought I'd start my own life, and at that point, me and my mom were kind of arguing, and she was like, well, if you leave, I'm going to be getting you out of jail in a couple months. And about 3 months later, she got that phone call to come get me out of jail.
So did she come get you?
She did. I was drinking with some friends, and we went to, used to be Jekyll and Hyde's, and I really abused that night, and we left, and I had my car there, but I didn't want to drive, so I left my car where it was.
Yeah.
And we got a taxi. Well, somehow everyone was being crazy and loud and disruptive, and so I just told him to let me. I was about 2 blocks from my house, and I was just ready to get out of that taxi. So I said, just let me out right here. I'll walk home. And it was about 2:30 in the morning, so he let me out, and I'm just walking home, you know, stumbling on the road. And then I feel this car pull up next to me, and it was the Noonan Police Department. And I was kind of in a bad area for 2:30 in the morning. And so they arrested me for public intoxication for being drunk. And so I called my parents that morning, and it happened to be, it was Father's Day morning.
Nice.
Is when it was, yeah. So, hey, happy Father's Day. Will you come get me out of jail? And so they did, and I was terrified, you know, just being...
How old were you at this time?
I was at least 21, probably 21, 22.
So is it, I mean, excuse my ignorance, is it illegal to be intoxicated in public? Is that
Yeah,
illegal?
it is.
Okay, Ryan is over here nodding. Everybody, okay, you can tell how, you can tell my experience with being intoxicated.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I tried to do the right thing by walking home and leaving my car,
sure.
but apparently you can be a danger to yourself or to others.
Yeah, I can see that.
So,
yeah,
they didn't really ask a question. He asked me if I was been drinking, and I asked him for a ride home, and he put handcuffs on me. So that's kind of how that went. So, and then shortly after that, my parents handled it really well. I thought, you know, like anybody, you just think that they're going to chew you out or be mad. And they really loved on me, really kind of helped me in that situation. But I kept making stupid choices, and I didn't change my people, my places, and the things that I did. I kept continually doing the same thing. And about 2 months after that, after getting arrested that time, 2 months later, I got arrested again. A friend of mine, we went to get some marijuana, and we were in a bad part of town. We kind of stuck out like a sore thumb when we left this neighborhood, and the cops pulled us over, found the weed, and took us to jail. And at that point, like, I was just really beat down with just shame, and here I am again, you know, back in this jail again. And I didn't want to call my parents at all. Like, I'm still trying to get them to forgive me from the first time, you know. So this time I actually left this a secret. I called the place that I was working, told them where I was, and it was actually payday. So they had my check, and I said, just take my check and use it to get me out, you know. So I bailed myself out with all my week's work, and they came and got me out, and I didn't tell my parents for months. I mean, they didn't know at all.
And now are you continuing to do drugs?
I was.
So you really had not hit rock bottom.
No.
But my understanding of anyone who's gone through or level of recovery, there's a point where you say, okay, I can't do this anymore. When was that moment for you?
Well, that moment came, so right now we're at about age 21, 22. That moment came when I was 25 years old. So in between all that, I got arrested again for fighting. And so that's 3 times that I was in jail. And then they put me, I've been on probation and through the system and paying money every week for probation and all that. And so they drug tested me, and I failed. So that just, it extended my probation. They didn't put me in jail, but it extended my probation. It just cost you more money. And through that time, I was experimenting different drugs, more drugs. It got to a point where I was so uncomfortable or really didn't love myself that it got to a point where I was just like, what do you have? You know, it wasn't like, hey, do you have weed? Do you have coke? It was like, what kind of drugs, you know, what do you got? It got that bad in my life. So at the age of 25, I went through a very, very toxic relationship, and when we broke up, I lost myself completely and just started to fill the void with drugs and women and alcohol, and just started going places I never would go or never thought I would go. And eventually, it happened in 2016. I came home one night. So through all this, like, I was still trying to have a relationship with God. I was still going to church, trying to play that, double life of a Christian, and it's miserable. There's no,
that will kill you in itself.
It will kill you, man. There's no freedom in that. I tried to fake it a lot, like I was doing good, and my mom would text me and be like, "I'm so proud of you," and that make you cry because she don't even know where I'm at, what I'm doing, and trying to live that double lifestyle. So finally, it got to the point where God broke me down. I mean, He really did. He's had His hand on me, and I kept trying to fight this flesh and spirit thing, and it was killing me. And one night I came home from a club, and I was looking in the mirror at like 2:30 in the morning. I was high on drugs, and I did meth. It went from cocaine to I tried meth, and it just had me over the edge. And I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I didn't even know who I was anymore. Like I hated that person. Like, it was deep, it sounds crazy, but I was having this like visual fight with this person in the mirror. Like, I hated him. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're trying to do with me. Just having that one-on-one visual attack with who I didn't even know who I was looking at. Drugs will just they'll turn you into somebody you're not.
Yeah.
So that was my rock bottom. That's when I really, I broke. I was looking at myself, and I was in disgust, and I could just feel conviction all over me. I could feel that, how exhausted I've been just from running from my family, running from God, running from people that love me, to make my own choices, and it will lead you down a dark path.
And that night was in 2016.
Yeah, it was April 9th of 2016.
And so what was the next day like? What did you do differently the next day?
What happened is, so I'm a 25-year-old man at this time, and I'm just living
by yourself.
By myself. I lived in an apartment with a roommate, and I was crying like a baby. God, He broke me. I'm telling you, He literally broke me down, and I'm so thankful that He did. I cried. I prayed to Him for hours. It seemed I put it all on the line at that point. I was tired of where I was, who I was, what I was doing. I was tired of being sick and broke, and all the negative feelings that come with being an addict. And I begged Him to change me. I cried out for Him to just put someone in my life or lead me somewhere. It felt like I was just talking to Him for 5-10 minutes, but the sun was coming up. It was about 6:30, 7 in the morning, and I'm still in this full conversation with God. I've never talked that long, and so this is what happened. So I know it was the Holy Spirit leading me, but I had a thought to call this person. So I called this person, and I told him, like, hey, I'm struggling, I need help. And he immediately came to my apartment. He picked me up, and he took me to church, which I felt like that's not where I needed to be at that time, but it's exactly where I needed to be. And
was it your church?
Yeah,
he took you back to Royal Baptist?
He took me to Royal, and he put me on the front row, and it was hot.
Was this a Sunday?
It was a Sunday morning, yeah.
Okay.
I just felt like I was on fire with conviction,
So you hadn't slept all night?
I haven't slept. I was drunk and high and just a mess, And I look at the bulletin, and it had my name in it as I was supposed to sing that morning. I was supposed to sing "I Will Rise" by Chris Tomlin.
Sure. So
I look at that bulletin, and I was so lost in drugs and stuff. I didn't even know I was singing that morning, and I'm supposed to be up there singing, "I Will Rise," and I'm as low can get, and it broke me. I just instantly, I couldn't be in there no more. I was just so embarrassed of myself.
Yeah.
And, like, man, just living that double life. And so I went outside crying. By this point, everybody kind of knows that I'm messed up. And this man has been a blessing to me. His name's Wes, and he's helped me. And he was like, how bad do you want this? I will do anything I can for you if you just tell me how bad you want it. And I told him, I'm ready. I'm tired of this life. I'll do whatever it takes. So he introduced me to a place called Penfield Christian Homes.
Yeah.
And
down South Georgia.
South Georgia, yeah. They have one in Greensboro and then down in Alapaha, Georgia. And he sent me, God sent me there. You know, he just put this man in my life to help me. And that was, I got there April 13th of 2016.
Did he pay for you to go? How did you?
The church did.
The church paid for you.
It was amazing. And I didn't really have nothing to worry about. At first I was telling him, like, well, how am I going to pay my rent and my roommate? You know, there were so many things that wanted to keep me there.
Right.
And he just made me feel comfortable as, like, whatever happens here, we're going to take care of. You know, you just go. And they did. I mean, even while I was I paid my month's rent because, you know, I worked. I supported my habit. I wasn't a bum. I kept a job so I could keep my habit going, you know. And so I paid my rent. And while I was in rehab, they actually they moved me out of my apartment, and they just helped me so much. And so that was April 13th of 2016. So 4 days after that mayor incident.
When was Easter that year?
It was March 31st.
Okay, so this is right. It was the week after Easter.
And I did not go to church that morning because I was drunk and high from the night before, and I woke up on Easter. It was in March, very end of March. It was like March 31st, I think. And that was part of it. That was part of the, you know, I hated it. You know, I missed Easter, and it was like 12:30 in the afternoon when I woke up. You know, I just felt so sick and so disgusted, and I couldn't even, you know, go praise God for his resurrection, you know, because I was struggling so bad in my own addiction. So that had a lot to do with it too. That just kind of poured onto the pile of regret and shame and all that stuff. Yeah.
So you come back from rehab. You're down there. How many? Is it 1 month? How long were you down there?
I went on April 13th and I got out May 27th.
Well, May 27th.
I was there like 7 weeks.
Yeah, 7 weeks. So what does May 28th look like?
That's my birthday.
Really? You got out the day before your birthday?
Yeah, man. It's
And you turned 26?
I did.
That day?
It kind of showed me right then, like, none of that was planned. You know, I kind of just went because I wanted to go. And God took me down there and just showed me who he was the whole time. Like, that whole place, they say Jesus walks the halls of Penfield. And, man, he does. He was transforming lives all over the place, and he got a hold of my life. And so I graduated that day. So I was there May 27th. We did the little graduation thing, and then I came home. So the very next morning when I wake up, it's my birthday, and I just felt like that was God telling me, like, hey, this is your new life.
New day.
You know, this is
day.
a new birth.
Hallelujah.
It's amazing. And
good.
It is. It's amazing. I will be honest with you. So I come back home. It was a Friday night. It was graduation weekend. You know, I was down in a sheltered little bubble, and then when you come back home, everything's so fast, just loud. You're not used to that. You're kind of sheltered off, you know. You're just in your little community. So coming back into the real world was stressful. It was just, there's people everywhere. It's loud. Even just going to Walmart, like, had me. It was just too much, you know, being in that very loving environment, and then you come out and people yelling at each other, honking horns. It just seemed like there was a lot of disruption going on. But where was I going with this?
You said you want to be honest.
Yeah, that night, so my family, Friday night, we went to La Fiesta. And so I had just been out of rehab like 3 hours, and all the emotions started coming back. You know, now I'm back in this place where it all started. You know, all them feelings come back. Now it's like, well, I can go to the bar now, you know, and it's my birthday, so I have all these lies hitting my head, like, oh, it's your birthday. I went to the bank as soon as I got back and saw some friends, and they're like, hey, come to the bar. Your birthday's tomorrow. We'll buy you some shots. And then I go to Walmart to get some stuff, and I run into my drug dealer. Hey, Jordan, where you been? And I'm like, I got attacked this 2 hours, 3 hours when I got back home. So we're eating at La Fiesta, and I just started crying. You know, I'm so overwhelmed with all this pressure already. And so I looked at I remembered everything they told me, so I looked at the schedule for the Noonan Club. You know, they had the NA and the AA meetings.
Yeah.
And I immediately, it was about 6:40, and they had a meeting at 7. And I told my parents, I said, I gotta go. Like I left, and I went straight to the meeting. And,
it's wonderful,
man. And so I'm in there, and I told them straight up. I said, hey y'all, I'm clean. I've been clean for like 7 weeks, but I just got out of rehab, and I'm like freaking out. You know, all my feelings come back, and I said, it's my birthday tomorrow, and I just want to like use, and they loved on me, and they encouraged me to come back the next day. So the next day on my birthday, I went to like 2 meetings that day. I went to a meeting in the morning, and I walk in there, and they had me a birthday cake and balloons.
Are you kidding? No. So I guess they knew you were coming.
Yeah. Well, they told me to come back.
The night before, you said, okay, I'll be back in the morning.
Yeah, and they had a little birthday party.
Why can't the church be more like these NA groups and AA groups and show that love?
That's right.
I mean, think about that. Yeah. I love that. Oh, man. So they surrounded you, gave you community there?
Yeah. They loved on me, and it helped a lot. And I went back that night, and then the next day was a Sunday, and I went to church, and you know, I was clean, and everybody knew where I was.
Yeah, sure.
So they all supported me, and then they had a birthday celebration for me. And
I'm telling you, Jordan, that's amazing. That is such a good story. We're coming up on our hard break, and I want to hear, though, you've come back, and I want to hear because we spent the first half of the show I'm sitting here listening, and it's gut-wrenching listening to I can still feel this pain. You know, I can see your pain and hear it in your voice where you walk through that valley, but you didn't stay in the valley.
No, sir.
And so I want to hear about coming out of the valley and really all that the Lord has done since the May of 2016. So, friends, you're listening to Faith Works. We will be right back.
You've been around long enough to know good stuff when you hear it. That's why you're here now. Classic Hits, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
At Newlink, WOW, local matters. Local keeps our families and businesses thriving. WOW takes pride in serving the Noonan and Peachtree City communities and supporting Coweta County charities and events. For the fastest local internet, call 770-683-1931 and get up to 100 megs of speed for $29.99 a month. Lock in this price, save for the whole year. It's a great value that locals love. Be Young with Be Young Beauty Studio and Spa, 5 Jackson Street in Noonan. Be Young not only can get you the best new hairstyles around, but Be Young provides services for weddings, skincare, makeup, lashes, and more. Visit them at the web at BeYoungBeautyStudio.com or 770-683-0704. Be Young with Be Young Beauty Studio and Spa today.
Join us here, live from Noonan, Georgia, as we present the Health, Happiness, and Harmony Hour, every Wednesday from 10 to 11. I'm your host, Dr. Lewis Boynton. Please join us each week as we have new guests and talk about topics related to the psychological world. We're hoping that you will find interesting and helpful topics that will help you have more health, happiness, and harmony in your life. Join us every Wednesday from 10 to 11 at 99.1 WQEE Rock and Roll Radio.
The Parlor Downtown Boutique is all about health and beauty. Now offering CBD, elderberry, specializing in all natural organic products. Carrying a number of local vendors such as Dang Chicks, Country Junction Goat Soap, Lily Jane Jewelry, and more. The Parlor also gives back by offering gift cards with the perfect gift, Bridgewater Candles. Call 678-571-7076. Visit 5 LaGrange Street, Suite 1 and 2. The Parlor Downtown Boutique. It's all about health and beauty. Ever dreamed of being a radio DJ or hosting your own show? Now here's your chance. WQEE 99 Rock the Key is giving you an opportunity to host your own show. If you'd like to get your advertising message across the thousands of listeners throughout the area, here's your chance. Hosting your own show is the way to do it. Perfect for attorneys, realtors, churches, sports talk shows, and more. Contact 678-673-6318 for further information. Host your own show.
Tune in the second and fourth Thursday each month for Know Your Rights. I'm your host, Charles Cobble, and we will discuss your rights and have plenty of information on what those rights are. Every second and fourth Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Hey there, it's John and Taku with Winners Media, and we're just checking out the latest edition of The Paper. We've got a couple of awesome interviews lined up for you, and our featured joint is Cafe Dion. And let me tell you, those shrimp and grits are awesome. Columnist Jim Coleman talks about putting his presidential campaign on hold, or is this just a ploy? We've got some great nonprofit fundraisers coming up with Abby's Angels, Souls for Coal, Hats and Hooves, and Karis Cares. Check out our calendars for all the information. As always, we have all the latest on live music, streaming video, film, special events, and what to do each weekend. So make sure and pick up your copy at one of more than 140 locations throughout Coweta, Fayette County. Remember, The Paper is your ultimate what to do, see, and eat publication.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Ellis, and I'm the pastor here at Noonan City Church. I want to thank you. You'll find as you walk through that we focus on 3 areas primarily. One is worship, small groups, and local missions. And our purpose is transforming lives for Jesus' sake, helping individuals experience that transformation. And we use these 3 areas, worship, small groups, and local missions, to help individuals experience that. So you'll get a sense of who Noonan City Church is, and I hope that you'll come and worship with us soon. Take care, and God bless.
Around long enough to remember getting up to turn the channels on the TV? That's classic. Classic hits. WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key.
Welcome back to Faith Works. This is Jimmy Ellison, and have Jordan Wray on the show today. Jordan, wow, what a first half of the program. You shared your story and where drugs and that life, crazy life, took you down a road you didn't want to be. And tell us about the turnaround. So you turn around, it's May of 2016, and I mean, I know for a fact that you won the, it was called the local artist spotlight from J93. That was the following year, 2017.
Yes, sir.
So you go from rehab
to radio.
That's a good little tag.
I like that. Rehab to radio.
Isn't that cool, right? I like that, man.
Yeah, I started saying that a lot in my testimony. I was like, God brought me from rehab to radio, and it just showed me like how big of a God He is.
Amen.
How He'll take you from your brokenness and use you.
So how did that happen? How did somebody say, "Hey, you need to be in this contest"?
Yeah, well, very quickly, while I was in Penfield, I wrote a song about Penfield and how like God was changing me and what that place did for me. And there was this one day we had a family day, and everyone's family was there, and so I was sitting there listening to the stories, and I just felt led. It was like the Spirit was telling me to share my music, share the song with everyone, just let them know that God's really working here. And so we took a break, and I asked my counselor, I said, hey, I feel like God's leading me to sing that song that I wrote. And he said, well, do you think it's appropriate? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so then I was sitting there, and then, you know, it's like that angel and devil on your shoulder. Oh, don't do it. People ain't going to like it. They're not going to want to hear it. And that just showed me how critical it is that we obey God's voice, because if I let the fear and the doubt stop me at that one moment, then it would have erased everything that was to come. Because what happened is I sing the song in front of everybody, and people are crying. It was such a beautiful, special moment. And there was a guy there that went to Penfield, but now he owns his own recording studio.
Okay.
So after I sang that song, my counselor came up, and he was crying. It was just a very intimate moment. And he said, well, Jordan, you know, so-and-so is here, and he owns his own recording studio. And he kind of put that guy on the spot, but he asked me, he said, can Jordan come to your studio and record this song, and we'll put it on the Penfield website? And he said yes, and I just started crying. Like, God instantly blessed me in that moment. You know, I just sang the song, and I felt led to sing it. And then they sent me to a studio, and I record this song about Penfield. And now if you get on Penfield's website, the song is on there. It's amazing. You know, if I were to listen to them lies, you know, don't do it, they don't want to hear it.
The enemy, man, the enemy is the ultimate liar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ultimate liar, telling us lies about ourselves.
And, you know, we think it's our thoughts, but it's not our own thoughts, you know.
So did you submit that song to J93 or some other songs?
So what happened, so I get into the studio, and I just felt like that's been my dream my whole life. This is my first, like, studio experience. Yeah. And I fell in love. I felt at home. And so then after we record that song, I hear about the local artist spotlight thing. So I went and recorded a song called Rescue Me. And it's a very intimate song, just talking about where I was in my addiction, just how lost I was, how much doubt and fear I was living in. And this song, it kind of, you can just hear the desperation, and then it goes to just begging God to just come rescue me. You know, God, you're all I need, come rescue me. And then the song kind of goes into, you can just feel the joy, you know, you can feel the restoration. When I wrote the Holy Spirit, I give him all the credit. He just takes my hand and writes for me. You know? So all these songs that I write, I just let the Spirit take over, and God is just using me, but I don't want any credit for it. So I wrote this song called Rescue Me, and we submitted it, and even right before I was about to submit it, you know, all that doubt, like, oh, it ain't good enough.
Sure.
And, you know, and the very next morning, I got a phone call from the Joy FM, and he's like, hey, this is Benji. And I already knew his voice, and it was a great thing to hear. And he said that they accepted my submission, and they were going to put me on one of the, they picked 12 artists out of the state, or out of all the listening areas. Yeah. And so they picked the 12, and then we did the whole voting thing, and the song had more impact than I thought that it would on people.
Rescue Me.
Rescue Me, yes, sir. And so we get to the voting, and I end up winning the whole thing.
That's crazy.
I ended up winning. I received the there's so much talent in it. You know, that was kind of a hard spot for me, because so we voted, you know, and there's all this pressure, or not pressure, but, you know, excitement, and we had to wait a whole week. It's not like you vote and then you find out everyone voted, and then a week later we found out who won. So like that whole week was just kind of exhausting, just trying to act like, you know, it was all in God's hands, and he kind of used that moment. Instead of me worrying about it, he just kind of used that moment for me to really learn how to trust him and lean on him. So I won the contest, and the reward was to meet Jason Horde from Griffin and to record a single with him. So I go and I meet him, and we record a single called On the Throne, just talking about...
Something that you wrote, he wrote?
Yeah, I wrote it.
You wrote it?
It's all talking about where I was with all my guilt and all my shame and all this past life, you know. I just got to give it all to the man on the throne, you know, give it to Jesus. Just lay it down. And it's a very cool, upbeat song. And we just felt instantly connected with each other. God had this all planned out. And we worked so well together. I play a song for him that I write on my guitar. I sing it to him. And then he puts the track and everything together, and it mixes beautifully. So after we recorded the song, we just started talking, and I asked him like what we could do to make more music. And now we're on our 11th song together.
Really?
And we're actually, you know, talking to a record label and stuff. I don't want to talk too much about that because it's still moving. But you know, God is just continually blessing me, and I lead worship at a church for Sunrise. I lead worship for Celebrate Recovery. I just help lead worship at your church.
Noonan City Church PM.
I go to the Better Way Ministries here down in Sonoy.
Absolutely.
And I share my story with those guys, and sing to them, and just really give them hope, you know, because I know exactly where they're at. And they really, like, I can just see that it helps impact them and give them some inspiration. And there's so many, man, there's just, you don't realize how much God is working until you get into it, but there's so much going on, and he's just putting me here and there, and blessing me and blessing others, and it's been amazing. I just recently, so I said that April 13th, 2016, so we just passed my 3-year sobriety. This past April has been 3 years, and it's been amazing.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you do a little a cappella, the chorus for Rescue Me? Can you do it? Can you do the chorus?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, let's hear it.
It's not too late to find the love you have for me. Lord, you're all I need. Come rescue me, 'cause I've wasted my life and I feel incomplete. Lord, you're all I need. Come rescue me. Oh, Lord, come rescue me.
Man. Ryan, what do you think, buddy?
Awesome.
Man, that is good stuff.
Hey.
It's funny, I mean, to hear that come out of you, and it's so beautiful and perfect pitch. I mean, I'm always amazed at perfect pitch because I don't have it. But that is just, oh gosh, that's good stuff. Good stuff. So you're leading all over. God is using you to, I mean, really impact. And I know so many people have found hope listening to your story and how God has turned your life around. Jordan, let me ask you this, and I think we all fight addictions at some level. I mean, all of us. No one is, exempt from that. Do you still have the urge? Is there ever something inside of you that says, "Boy, if we just go back, just one time"?
Yeah. It was a lot more heavier back early in.
Okay.
Now it's kind of not as strong as it used to be.
Yeah.
This past Halloween, I mean, it came out of nowhere.
A lot of triggers, things happening.
I don't know. I mean, I say I don't know where it came from, but I know exactly where it came from. And it was Halloween night this past year, And man, it was heavy. I mean, I broke down and cried, and I called one of my sponsors and just told him, like, hey man, I'm having some really bad using urges. But you know, it's not as bad as it was at the beginning of it. It was coming out of rehab that first year. You can ask Chelsea.
Chelsea is your fiance.
My fiance, yeah. I was just a big baby for that first year because, you know, drugs and alcohol, you're just destroying your brain and all the chemicals. The chemical the high that we get from these drugs, we already naturally produce it, you know? So when you do these drugs, it just intensifies it, and you're overusing that chemical that that you use anyway. In Penfield, we didn't only learn about recovery, we learned about the neurological effects of the drug. We learned about, I felt like I was in brain college. They taught us so much, you know? And so my whole brain chemical balance was off. So that first year, man, I was so emotional. I cried over like everything, you know. I'd spill some coffee on my pants and want to just cry. Like, it was bad, you know. My whole I was just very emotional. If anything happened in life, like tragically, one of my friends died in a very tragic accident, and that whole funeral and death stuff, it really emotionally tore me up. I didn't know how to handle it because normally I would just numb it with drugs.
Self-medicate.
Yeah, go get high or something to kind of, you know, forget about it. But Penfield was teaching us how to handle life on life's terms and not go to drugs and alcohol. So I think the urges are always going to be there. I think that, you know, Satan is always going to try to, like, the more and more I serve God, the more he's going to try to get me off track. Yeah, there's good days and bad days with the urges. Sometimes it'll just be a quick little thought and then it'll go away, or sometimes it'll really, you know, hang on for the day. But I'm in, man. I'm on the winning team. I'm with God, and he's just been blessing me, and I just pray, and he takes it away. But, you know, it's a fight. You could be 3 years clean, 30 years clean. And
that's why I ask, because I hear that a lot from users, former users, who'll say they will smell something.
Yeah.
They'll see some person, or they will see a television show, or hear a song,
anything to remind them.
And just that trigger hits, and all of a sudden they go back to that place.
Yeah.
And how they have to, you know, you really call on the Lord at that point and say, okay, I cannot handle this on my own. I'm not going to fight this alone.
You can't, and I failed so many times before I actually surrendered and went to rehab. I tried to fight it just on my own, and I went, you know, like 2-3 weeks without drinking, but it always went back.
Comes back.
So to be where I am now, to know where I was, and Satan wants to remind me every day, even with I'm a new person. That other Jordan, that other people, man, he's dead, you know, he's gone, but Satan wants to remind me, you know, that he's still in there, he's still alive, and you know, oh, do you remember who you used to be? Do you remember what you used to do? You know, he wants to bury you in this shame, and you know, so the lies are always going to be there, the urges are going to come, you know, but God, man, he's the restorer and the healer, you know. He's going to help us through it all. So,
well, we're wrapping up. I want to give a big shout out to your fiance, Chelsea. What a gift she is to you and everybody who knows her. What a blessing how the Lord has brought you guys together.
Absolutely.
And getting married next May.
Yeah, next May 2nd.
May 2nd.
2020.
Where are you going to get married? I hadn't asked you that.
Sunrise.
Sunrise, okay. Sunrise Baptist. And we've had those folks, and that's through, they're the ones who sponsor the recovery group, correct?
Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah, they do a fantastic job. We know several of their folks down there.
Thursday nights at 6.
Yeah.
So if anyone...
do you lead on Thursdays? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I was doing it every Thursday for like 2 years, but things have been getting busier for me.
Sure, good.
So I'm there about twice a month.
Okay.
But yeah, every Thursday night, 6 o'clock, we start dinner.
Yeah.
The feed is really good.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
And then 6:30 we do it.
Food is a good thing.
It is a good thing. It's a good thing.
So if people wanted to hear more about your story, learn more about you, how do they get in touch with you? Do you have a place where they can hear your music?
The music, well, my name is Jordan Wray, but my last name is W-R-A-Y. So Jordan Wray, you can go on Facebook, Jordan Wray Music, or you can go to YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music.
Okay, got your stuff there.
It's on all the social music apps, and I have CDs, but they're all like personally at my house. So if anyone, it's amazing. I didn't think I've sold like 600 of them. It's amazing. I didn't think I would sell that many. But, I had to reorder some more, and it's just been a blessing. People have been supporting me, and the community's just been loving on me, and it's such a great life that God has given me. And He doesn't hold over your head who you used to be, or oh, you used to do this. Like, no, man, He forgives you for who you are. I went to Him in all my hurt and all my brokenness, and He just took it from there.
That's why I'm preaching Sunday. I'm preaching. As you know, we're going through the Genesis stories, and we're looking at the flood this upcoming week. And God is He's a holy judge, but He's also this gracious Redeemer.
Absolutely.
And if we will go to Him and say, I surrender. You mentioned that word. You said that word earlier. It's a surrender, and we surrender our past, everything, all of our brokenness, our sin. We surrender that to you, God. Use whatever, but I'm under your authority. When we surrender, God will do something so beautiful in our lives. And
Watch out. It's coming, man. His mercy and grace has flooded all over my life.
Sure.
It's just amazing.
Well, man, thank you for being on the show today, Jordan. What a gift to have you. And listen, if you do want to hear Jordan, he's on our rotation on Sunday nights at Noonan City Church. That's a 6:30 service. And he does a great job with, of course, Matt and Ashley Morris as well. And just appreciate what you're doing.
Kevin Wallace, by the way. I didn't mention his name, but he's the one that recorded Rescue Me.
Yes. We love Kevin. Kevin's been on the show. And so.
Yeah, he helped me, and so he produced the Rescue Me, the original Rescue Me.
Wow, that is so good.
Absolutely.
Well, friends, you have been listening to Faith Works. We will be here next week with another guest, another leader in our community that demonstrates that faith does indeed work. Have a wonderful week.
Thanks for tuning in to Faith Works with Pastor Jimmy Ellison from Noonan City Church. Tune back in here next week for another edition of Faith Works.